Hey there, it is Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
Live from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, in that area anyway. It is Debra Fileta, and she is an author. In fact, she has 6 books under her belt. She's a podcaster and a speaker. She's pretty amazing. We're going to talk today about a book that is out today, Reset, Powerful Habits to Own Your Thoughts, Understand Your Feelings, and Change Your Life. Debra, how are you?
I am so good. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so you've done this. This is not your first rodeo, okay? I mean, you've got 6 books that you've put out. I don't know if that includes this one.
Yeah.
But so what do you usually do on the day of? Is there something that do you wear the same socks? Do you always drink the same coffee on day?
We actually do have a tradition.
Okay.
So my family and I have 4 kids. And we go out and we take copies of the book and we leave them around town with little messages, kind of like a scavenger hunt for people to find and hopefully be blessed by the message in the book. We just pray that the Lord leads them to the right people. And we just kind of enjoy the celebration of today, of putting out a new message into the world.
I love that. That's very cool. And have you ever gotten a call from someone who's like, hey, I just found this book and I read it and it was awesome. Have you heard anything like that yet? Or
not necessarily in that regard, but I've heard from people who found it, and it's just exciting to see what God is doing behind the scenes. Some of it I'll probably never know until we get to heaven one day, but we just kind of put this message out, and I'm truly believing this specific message about healing and change from the inside out rather than the outside in. I really believe it's something our generation needs to hear right now. And we're ready to receive it. We're kind of sick and tired of doing things in the same way. Our default isn't working.
Yeah.
We're ready for a reset. So I'm excited to see what God's going to do with this one.
Well, let's talk about that. You decided to sit down and write this. So why did you want to write it at this point? Why wasn't this book number 1?
Yeah, I just feel like over the past few years, it's been pretty clear that people are struggling with different areas of their life or looking for a breakthrough and trying different things. And I really think going through 2020 was really the pressure cooker for so many people, because a couple years later now, all of that pressure is starting to come to the surface. And that's what happens when we go through hard things. During the middle of it, we're in survival mode. But that pressure begins to build and build and build. And later on in a season where life is a little bit more safe and secure, that pressure starts to come to the surface. It's like, it's time to deal with me now. So even in my counseling practice, I'm a licensed counselor. And in my practice, I'm seeing people just booming, coming in saying, I thought I was okay, but I'm not. And there's things in my life that I really need to change and reset.
So let's start then. How do we go about resetting? You got 31 different kind of ways of doing this, but talk about just initially, how do we first get into, I really need a reset?
Well, it's 31 different practices, but I'll tell you, I'll start with what not to do. What you shouldn't do is try to change from the outside in.
Right.
I had this car in college that was quite a lemon, and it was constantly break down on me. The windshield wipers would start to go, the alarm would start to blare, the windows would roll down suddenly. And
I had that car too.
We might have had the same car because it was so frustrating. I could have taped those windows shut, taken the windshield wipers off, and muffled that alarm, right? And that's what we sometimes do with healing and change. When there's something in our life we want to change, we want to get healthier, we want to stop raging and losing our cool with anger, we want to fix our relationship problems, we want to deal with our depression and anxiety. So a lot of times we tweak things from the outside, kind of like duct taping the windows, rather than taking the car to the shop. When I took it in, the mechanic was like, underneath the surface, there's some things going wrong here. Like, we need to fix these wires and reset some of this stuff. And I really believe that's what we have to do in order for us to achieve lasting change in our life. We have to start from the inside out. And what I mean by that is the understanding that your thoughts and beliefs lead to your feelings, and your feelings lead to your behavior. We're a little bit deeper than just the superficial. And if we try to change things superficially with our willpower, that's not going to last.
Nope.
Love that. Debra Fileta, she has got a book out, Reset, Powerful Habits to Own Your Thoughts, Understand Your Feelings, and Change Your Life. Forward by Christine Kane, Levi Lesko, Tony Collier, who has been on the show many times. She's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, if you ask her, do you know Rick and Dan? She'd probably say no. But
I love Tony.
And Lisa Bevere, it's a great book. Lisa, I love what you say. Debra, I love what you say about healing happens in layers. Why bad habits or struggles resurfacing is an opportunity for deeper healing, because it's not a quick fix.
Yeah,
it is a healing. There takes time and effort, and I love that. Kind of give us more on that.
Yeah, sometimes we think that healing is linear. We're just going to get better and better and better each day, but that's not realistic. I mean, it took you, the typical person, 40 years to get to where you are. You're not going to just change overnight. You're not just going to change in a week. It takes time for your brain to absorb these new beliefs and these new habits and these new experiences. And I always say, if you see something in your life coming back that you thought you've dealt with before, remember, it's like an onion. When there's a bad spot in the onion, you could remove the first layer, but there's still more to deal with. And there's more in different seasons. And I actually see it as an exciting thing. I know this sounds weird, but I truly feel like it's a wonderful thing when something comes back up to the surface, because I believe it's an invitation that God is saying, I'm ready to heal you on a deeper level.
That's
and I
good.
believe you're ready to be healed on a deeper level. So I'm bringing this thing to your attention so that we can deal with it. And so when you see something come back up, don't be discouraged. Just lean into the fact that this is a new season, a new opportunity for an even deeper layer of healing than you've ever had before.
Another point that caught my eye is you say it's not a one-player game. I love that. That we were made to be in community. And why are we always so afraid to ask for help, Debra?
Yeah, one of the number one ways people, number one things people said that they were afraid to ask for help is out of fear. They're a fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of coming across as needy. But research has shown us that people actually want to help. And I think it's because God made us that way. We are made to do life together, and no man is an island. And so oftentimes what's keeping us stuck is ourselves, our inability to ask for help. But even that we have to get to the roots of. So this book is really helping you get to the roots through these different practices, because maybe you don't ask for help because you've learned to suppress your needs. Going back, maybe you grew up in a family where there was a lot of chaos. So you learned to put your own needs on the back burner. You learn that maybe there's no place for your needs here. And so you've kind of lived that way. So it's not just about asking for help, but it's also about going back and figuring out, where did I get stuck? Where did this become difficult? Where did I believe the lie that asking for help is a weakness or something that I shouldn't do? And so much of our behavior begins to shift when we start getting to some of those roots and shining a light of healing on those places.
That's so good, Debra. We got to get that book, Dan. Debra Fileta, the book is called Reset: Powerful Habits to Own Your Thoughts, Understand Your Feelings, and Change Your Life. Are you still doing the podcast Love and Relationships, or have you put that on hold for a while until this gets out and people need to read it and listen to it?
You're going to love this. I'm actually not only doing the podcast, but right now we're in the middle of a reset series where I'm doing on-air counseling sessions with people who need a reset in different areas of their life, from toxic relationships to pornography to their relationship with food and money. And so I bring on guests and we hit record and we do an on-air counseling session, and I help them get unstuck in different areas of their life where they need a reset. And it's been so profound. And honestly, it's just been touching to me to just watch the Lord begin to pour out healing and open people's eyes to different things, because reset isn't just psychological principles. It's rooted in God's unchanging truth. And I think that's what makes us move towards permanent and lasting change.
I don't know if I've ever heard anybody do that before. I think that's pretty cool.
It's fun. You'd love it. This past February, we did couples counseling on air. I've actually done counseling with leaders and teachers from all across the country, from Christine Kane, Levi Lesko, Louis Giglio. We do on-air counseling sessions just to show people that the reality is we all have something. Just because you're a leader or a pastor or a teacher or a counselor doesn't mean you're immune. Just because
Mhm.
you're a Christian doesn't mean you're healthy. And there's things that we're all going through on this journey of healing as we become more like Jesus each step of the way.
I love that. We all have those beliefs that we formed over time that are driving our behavior, and
Yeah.
sometimes we don't dig deep enough to find out why we behave the way we do. So,
Right.
good stuff.
Debra, thank you so much for putting this out. And I love I love what you're doing in the podcast as well. Where I guess you can go wherever you get your podcast. What's the podcast called? Love and Relationships. Is that where you're doing the reset stuff as
Yeah,
well?
Relationships podcast. We have all different kinds of series that come up throughout that. It's typically a hotline style show. So typically people call in and chat
Okay.
with me on air, and we just kind of talk through their issues. But every now and again, we'll do these special series.
Love that. Debra Fileta. It's Debra Fileta. You put that back up there.
Yep.
You go.
.com.
DebraFileta.com is a place to go to check out the book. It is out today. Reset, Powerful Habits to Own Your Thoughts, Understand Your Feelings, and Change Your Life. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.